The recent looting and this week's cyber attack on Transnet's national operations have the country's Meat Processors Association challenge government to be more creative. There's a talk of relocating sealed cold storage containers to inland locations. What exactly is the situation? How bad are things? Let's discuss this now with the CEO of the South African Meat Processors Association, Peter Gordan. Peter, good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday View here on eNCA. As if the looting and the unrest was not enough, because your industry was badly affected by it, and the port was affected recently now by the cyber attack. How badly has your industry been affected? Just broadly first, can we begin there?
Good afternoon, Dan, and good afternoon to your viewers. Certainly, the processed meat industry has been severely impacted. Durban is the biggest port of entry for all of our imported raw materials. And 4 cold stores were looted and damaged severely during the rioting in Durban over the last 2 weeks. And those 4 cold stores collectively have the capacity of 40,000 pallet spaces, which is about 40,000 tons of product, all of which is used in the manufacturing of processed meat products. And consequently, with all the damage and looting, all of that stock that was in the cold stores has been lost. And more importantly, the capacity to now manage product coming into the port, which traditionally routes through those cold stores to their customers inland, that has also been lost. So we've had a significant body blow to the industry in the last few weeks.
So as you were beginning to count the losses and thinking let's try to recover from the looting and the unrest that has affected your cold storage warehouse, Transnet suffers a cyber attack. How has that impacted you?
The cyber attack obviously slowed down movement of product that was inbound through the ports. Certain vessels passed by the port and chose not to offload. But what's happened now is you've got a massive bottleneck of product on the quayside that has been offloaded. And because of the cold stores not being available to receive the stock, you've now got a bottleneck. And while Transnet have now notified us yesterday that their NAVA system is back up and running, which is really good news, the bottleneck hasn't been alleviated. And we really are calling on the Department of Agriculture to find a workable and very speedy solution to accelerating their processing of inbound containers that need urgently to get to our manufacturers.
How would
I said earlier...
Peter, how would the fast tracking of how they deal with the inbound products assist when you don't have any cold storage there at the port?
Dan, there are a couple of options that we've offered to the department. The first of which is to fast track product to manufacturers with what they call heat treating facilities, and that is where the product can safely be processed without going through all of the normal checks and balances which delay the clearing of product. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is to route the containers directly up to the Highveld and to the cold storage facilities that exist up here, and let the veterinary authorities then clear the product here in Gauteng for further distribution to inland producers. And we've got inland producers from Bloemfontein all the way up into the northern provinces. So that would be the second option. And the third one is simply to fast track the processing. In other words, to find a way of accelerating their testing methodologies to process product quicker and get it to the manufacturer and through the port much faster.
And what really kind of response are you getting?
We've had engagement with the department. They've said they're working on a plan, but they've been telling us that for a week. And we really need an urgent solution. And the solution is not about today or tomorrow. It's actually a solution that's required until the cold storage capacity in Durban is rebuilt. And that's probably the next 3 to 6 months.
So if that does not happen, what is the likely cost that will be suffered by your members?
Well, already we've got a couple of manufacturers who've run out of raw material. They've stopped production. The consequence there is job losses, obviously revenue losses for those businesses, and also non-availability of their food products. So that's the first real consequence. The second consequence will be that Transnet in the port of Durban will just have no space to put containers. And bear in mind that a reefer container doesn't just require a footprint, it actually requires a plug-in point at which it can be plugged into electricity to keep the refrigerators running and the product at the right temperature. They already have run out of plug-in points. And they're asking, in fact, themselves, Transnet have asked Department of Agriculture today for their solution and saying, we've got no more space. We need you to move these containers out the port and off to wherever they need to go, the customers, into other cold storage.
Yeah.
So I drew an analogy. It's a bit like a bridge where you've knocked a piece of the bridge out and you're wanting to go from the one side to the other, but you can't because there's a gaping hole in the middle. And that's effectively what's happened in the supply chain. A huge chunk of that chain is now taken out, and we need to find an urgent solution around how we solve that problem.
Thank you very much, Peter Gordan. Not tenable. That's not a good situation. Hopefully, that creativity you're asking for from the authorities will come. He is, of course, the CEO of the South African Meat Processors Association. A huge gap has appeared there in that particular economic activity.